Hello, my wise elders. Welcome back to this great channel. Have you ever stopped to think about why, as you grow older, some people begin to quietly pull away from you? It's an uncomfortable idea. No one wants to imagine being secretly disliked, especially after years spent nurturing relationships and caring for others. Yet many people in their later years notice subtle shifts. Family members becoming distant, friends calling less frequently, neighbors keeping conversations brief, or loved ones showing less tolerance. In this video, we're exploring the 7 most common reasons people silently begin to feel irritated or disconnected from seniors over 80. These points are not meant to criticize you. They're meant to bring awareness, offer clarity, and help you regain control over how people see you. The truth is, many of the things that create distance can be changed with a little intention and self-reflection. Stay with me until the end, because not only will you understand why these silent resentments form, but you'll also learn simple ways to rebuild your image, reconnect with people, and turn quiet frustration into renewed affection and respect. Sometimes all it takes is a small shift in your habits, your attitude, or your communication style to transform your relationships for the better. 1. The pattern of constant complaining. By the time someone reaches their 80s, it becomes incredibly easy to fall into certain behaviors without noticing. One of the most common habits that gently pushes people away is frequent complaining. It often doesn't come from a negative intention. Sometimes it's because of physical discomfort, emotional stress, or loneliness trying to express itself. Other times it's simply the result of surviving years of challenges, disappointments, and change. But to people around you, especially the younger ones, a steady flow of negative comments can feel exhausting, even when they love you. Many older adults don't realize how often they talk about their discomforts, their fears, or how different life used to be. You may mention the same worry repeatedly because it's weighing on your mind, or you might point out what others are doing wrong, thinking you're being helpful. But over time, those repeated negative tones can make others feel emotionally drained or judged. Every conversation starts to feel heavy. Take Mr. Thompson, an 83-year-old man I once knew. He didn't see himself as someone who complained. He simply expressed how he felt. His knee pain, the rising cost of everything, how noisy the neighborhood was, or how his kids didn't stop by enough. But slowly, fewer neighbors paused to chat with him. Even his daughter began shortening her visits. When she finally opened up, she said she often left feeling sad, tired, and pressured. Mr. Thompson had no idea his words carried such emotional weight. People naturally gravitate toward positivity, not constant negativity. That doesn't mean you must hide your struggles, but balancing your concerns with warmth, gratitude, humor, or curiosity can completely change how others feel around you. You don't have to pretend life is perfect. Just remember that the energy you bring affects people more than you think. When you share your patience, strength, and wisdom, not just your frustrations, people feel drawn to you instead of drained by you. 2. Not listening or being unwilling to change your mind. Another silent reason people sometimes distance themselves from older adults is the feeling that you're no longer open to listening or considering new perspectives. By 80, it's normal to trust your own knowledge. You've lived through seasons of hardship, triumph, and change. You've seen the world transform in ways younger generations can't imagine. But sometimes this confidence turns into resistance to new ideas, new approaches, or unfamiliar ways of doing things. Loved ones may feel like their thoughts don't matter, their stories get cut short, or their concerns get dismissed. You might catch yourself saying things like, "That's not how we used to do it. In my time, things were better. That won't work." Often, you interrupt without meaning because you want to offer advice or protect others from mistakes. Other times, you tune out when a topic doesn't interest you. But over time, this makes people feel unheard or unimportant. They begin to think, why bother talking? My opinion won't matter anyway. Eventually, they stop sharing altogether. Let me tell you about Martha, 82. Her grandkids adored her, but she constantly corrected them or told them how things were done properly in her day. She thought she was guiding them. She didn't realize she was shutting their voices down. One by one, they stopped calling and visiting. When Martha finally asked why, her granddaughter told her gently, "I just want you to listen sometimes. I don't always need advice, just someone who hears me." Being heard is a human need, regardless of age. Showing interest in others, asking questions, and being open to new ideas makes people feel valued. Sometimes the greatest wisdom is simply the willingness to listen. 3. Living in the past and rejecting the present. After 80, memories become deeply comforting. They remind you of loved ones, achievements, and moments that shaped your identity. But sometimes holding on to the past too tightly makes others feel like you reject everything about the present, including them. Constantly comparing today to how things used to be, criticizing modern trends, or lamenting lost traditions can make younger generations feel inadequate or judged. You might find yourself saying, "Life was simpler back then. People had better manners before. Kids today don't understand real responsibility." While you may be sharing wisdom, younger people often hear, "You're doing life wrong." They start to feel like they will never match your expectations because they're living in a world you never experienced. Take my friend Jacob, 85, who loved telling stories about his days as a mechanic, how families once gathered every Sunday, and how neighbors trusted each other more. But he also spent every holiday pointing out what modern families lack. His grandchildren slowly stopped attending family gatherings, saying they always felt criticized. Jacob was devastated. But when he asked why, his son finally told him, "We want to make memories with you, not feel like we're failing your memories." Sharing your history is important, but sharing it in a way that inspires others instead of making them feel inferior is even more powerful. Balance nostalgia with an openness to the present, and you become someone people want to share their world with, not hide it from. 4. Dominating conversations and making everything about yourself asterisk. Many older adults fall into the habit of unintentionally taking over conversations or redirecting everything back to their own stories. You may feel you've earned the right to speak. You may crave connection after years of feeling overlooked, or you might simply enjoy sharing your memories. But when every discussion circles back to your opinions, your childhood, your aches, or your experiences, others may feel overshadowed. Younger people may stop sharing altogether because they don't want to be corrected, topped, or minimized. Consider Mrs. Daniels, 84, who loved her weekly calls with her son's family. She treasured those conversations, but she filled every minute with her own updates, stories, and advice. Her daughter-in-law began calling less. Her grandson stopped sharing school news. When Mrs. Daniels finally asked why, her son told her gently, "We love your stories, Mom, but we want to share our lives too." People want balance. When you ask about others, show interest, and allow them space to speak, relationships deepen naturally. It's not about silencing yourself. It's about letting others shine, too. 5. Clinging to old social norms or beliefs. As you age, the values and principles that shaped your life become deeply rooted. But sometimes what feels like timeless wisdom to you can sound outdated or even offensive to younger generations. Insisting that things should stay the same or holding rigid views on gender roles, relationships, religion, or acceptable behavior can create invisible tension. Phrases like, "Men should always," "children must," "people should respect authority," may come from a sincere place, but younger people hear judgment. Take the case of Mrs. Lawson, 81, who held firm religious and cultural beliefs. When her granddaughter shared that she was in a same-sex relationship, Mrs. Lawson struggled to accept it. She made comments she thought were harmless, but they deeply hurt her granddaughter, who eventually stopped coming to family events. Mrs. Lawson didn't want to push her away. She wanted to protect her, but holding on too tightly to old beliefs built a barrier instead. You don't have to abandon your values. You only need to offer compassion, patience, and understanding. People open their hearts to those who make them feel safe, not judged. 6. Criticizing the choices of younger people. Many seniors fall into the habit of pointing out what younger relatives or friends are doing wrong. Their careers, parenting, lifestyle, finances, or even hobbies. You may be trying to protect them. You may wish someone had guided you the same way. But constant correction can feel like constant disapproval. Comments like, "Get a real job," "You're raising your kids wrong," "When will you settle down?" almost always hurt more than they help. My friend Raymond, 86, prided himself on his years as a carpenter. When his grandson became a digital artist, Raymond couldn't hide his disapproval. He frequently asked, "When will you find a proper job?" Eventually, his grandson stopped sharing his work entirely, not because he didn't love his grandfather, but because he didn't want to feel belittled. Support doesn't always mean giving advice. Sometimes it means stepping back, trusting the younger generation, and being curious rather than critical. People open up when they feel safe, not judged. 7. Neglecting personal care and social etiquette ***. As people age, it becomes easier to let personal routines slip, especially when living alone or dealing with physical or emotional challenges. Things like bathing regularly, keeping clothes fresh, brushing teeth, or maintaining a tidy home may begin to feel burdensome. But when self-care declines, others quietly notice. They may stop visiting as often, hesitate to hug you, or find reasons to stay away. Not because they don't care, but because they feel uncomfortable or unsure of how to help. Take the example of Alice, 83, who lost interest in her usual routines after her husband passed away. She stopped dressing up, left dishes unwashed, and forgot birthdays she once celebrated with handwritten notes. Her children still love her deeply, but their visits grew less frequent. When Alice finally asked why, her daughter said softly, "We just missed a version of you who made us feel welcome and cared for." Self-care isn't vanity. It signals that you respect yourself and value the people around you. Small gestures, clean clothes, a warm smile, a kind word, keep relationships strong. As we close this truthful and sometimes difficult conversation, I want you to remember something important. No one is flawless, regardless of age. Every person has habits or blind spots that can unintentionally push others away. The goal isn't to feel guilty. It's to recognize where growth is possible and choose connection over distance. Which of the 7 reasons spoke to you most? Did any of them remind you of your own habits or someone you love? The good news is that even small changes can transform your relationships. A listening ear, a gentle response, a bit of curiosity, or an act of kindness can make a tremendous difference. When you choose openness instead of stubbornness, compassion instead of criticism, and self-care instead of neglect, you show others that you value both them and yourself. It's never too late to repair connections, rebuild trust, and strengthen bonds. Your wisdom is powerful, but it shines brightest when shared with humility and love. Thank you for spending this time with us today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned and how you'll apply it in your life. Your comments inspire us to keep going. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Tips and share. Your support makes it possible for us to continue creating content that informs and uplifts. We appreciate you watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.